Do you know what the minimum car insurance requirements are in your state? Now that's a question that might just save you a hefty sum in fines, not to mention the peace of mind it brings. You see, these requirements aren't a one-size-fits-all deal. They vary from state to state. Understanding them is key to ensuring you're not just legally covered, but also well protected, should the unexpected happen. So, without any further ado, let's delve into the specifics. To start off, it's crucial to comprehend what car insurance requirements mean. Car insurance requirements refer to the minimum amount of insurance coverage that a car owner must possess to legally operate a vehicle. These standards are set by each state and can vary significantly, but the goal remains the same: to protect you and other drivers on the road. Let's delve into the types of insurance coverage that may be required. First up is liability insurance. This is the bedrock of your car insurance policy. It's designed to cover the costs if you're at fault in an accident. This includes the other party's medical bills and vehicle repair costs. But remember, liability insurance doesn't cover your own costs. It's there to protect you from the financial fallout of causing harm to others. Next, we have uninsured and underinsured motorist protection. As the name suggests, this helps cover your costs if you're involved in an accident with a driver who either has no insurance or doesn't have enough to cover the damages. It's a safety net for those unexpected scenarios where the other driver's insurance falls short. Lastly, let's talk about personal injury protection, often referred to as PIP. This coverage pays for your medical expenses and, in some cases, lost wages, regardless of who caused the accident. Even if you have health insurance, PIP provides additional coverage, especially for costs not typically covered like childcare or house cleaning, if you're unable to perform these tasks because of your injuries. Each of these coverages serves a unique purpose, providing a safety net in different scenarios. It's important to remember that the minimum requirements set by your state are precisely that, minimums. They're designed to provide basic protection, but depending on your situation, you may want to consider additional coverage. Now that you have a basic understanding of car insurance requirements, let's move on to the differences by state. As previously mentioned, these requirements change depending on your state of residence. Let's dive right into it and start with Alabama, the heart of Dixie. Alabama requires a $25,000 limit for bodily injury per person, a $50,000 limit for bodily injury per accident, and a $25,000 limit for property damage. Moving on to Alaska, the last frontier. Alaska steps up the game and doubles the limits with $50,000 for bodily injury per person, $100,000 for bodily injury per accident, and $25,000 for property damage. Arizona, the Grand Canyon state, keeps it the same as Alabama, but Arkansas, the natural state, follows Alaska's lead. California, the Golden State, has a unique approach, with a $15,000 limit for bodily injury per person, $30,000 for bodily injury per accident, and a mere $5,000 for property damage. Colorado, the Centennial State, and Connecticut, the Constitution State, both maintain the $25,000, $50,000, $25,000 limits. Delaware, the first state, ups the ante with $30,000 for bodily injury per person, $60,000 for bodily injury per accident, and $15,000 for property damage. Florida, the Sunshine State, requires a $10,000 limit for personal injury protection, and another $10,000 for property damage. Georgia, the Peach State, follows the standard $25,000, $50,000, $25,000 limits, while Hawaii, the Aloha State, requires a unique blend of bodily injury, property damage, and personal injury protection coverage. Idaho, the Gem State, keeps it at the standard, but Illinois, the Prairie State, steps it up with a $25,000, $50,000, $20,000 limit. Indiana, the Hoosier State, and Iowa, the Hawkeye State, both stick with the standard, but Kansas, the Sunflower State, requires additional personal injury protection. Lastly, for this part, we have Kentucky, the Bluegrass State, Louisiana, the Pelican State, and Mississippi, the Magnolia State, all of which have their unique set of requirements. We've covered a lot of ground, but we've still got more to discuss. Stay tuned. Ready to keep exploring? Let's pick up where we left off. Strap in and let's continue our journey through the United States of America, home of the brave, land of the free, and a patchwork quilt of car insurance requirements. We're starting off with Missouri, where drivers need to have at least $25,000 for bodily injury per person, $50,000 for bodily injury per accident, and $10,000 for property damage. But hold on to your hats, because in Montana, they raised the bar with a property damage requirement of $20,000. Nebraska, Nevada, and New Hampshire follow suit with the same requirements as Missouri. Now, the Garden State of New Jersey is a bit unique. They have what's called a basic and a standard policy. The basic policy has minimal coverage, while the standard policy offers more comprehensive coverage. So, if you're in the Garden State, you've got options. As we swing into the southern charm of North Carolina, we see a step up with $30,000 for bodily injury per person, $60,000 for bodily injury per accident, and $25,000 for property damage. Now, that's Southern hospitality for you. North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, and Oregon have similar requirements to North Carolina, but Oregon ups the ante with a required $15,000 for personal injury protection. Our final states, from Pennsylvania through Wyoming, follow a similar pattern with some exceptions. For example, Rhode Island requires a hefty $100,000 for bodily injury per accident. And in the cowboy state of Wyoming, they hold firm with $25,000 for bodily injury per person, $50,000 for bodily injury per accident, and $20,000 for property damage. And there you have it, folks. That's a wrap on our state-by-state breakdown. After exploring all of these requirements, you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed. Let's recap. Minimum car insurance varies by state, from basic liability to comprehensive coverages. What's consistent is the vital importance of understanding these requirements. Complying with them not only keeps you legal but also financially protected. It's about safeguarding your journey, no matter where the road takes you. Remember, staying informed is the key to avoiding any unpleasant surprises down the road. Drive safe, everyone.